I'm Tony, this is Steve. We're here at Historicon 2019. Steve, we saw a lot of good stuff today.
Oh my God!
And all
today,
weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was here all day. I'm exhausted, but it was a fantastic convention, and saw a lot of great games.
We did.
A personal favorite of mine is a rule set that I love, Ronin. It was called the 7 Deadly Samurai Sisters. It won an award, and deservedly so. Wasn't a huge board, but let me tell you, the amount of detail in this little Japanese village and the rice paddies.
It was fantastic.
It's glorious. How about you? What games did you like?
I saw the Brazen Chariots game, which was a gigantic tank battle. That also won an award. The terrain was incredible. The miniatures were extremely well painted. It was just gorgeous to look at. What are some of the other things we saw? We saw To Catch a King.
Well, of course. That was one of our own. Miles, who ran that game, ran it I think 5 times.
17, maybe? Yeah.
Maybe 17 times, but no, 5 times. That also won an award, deservedly so. But I will point out, he only did that because he was using my little flashing gunfire markers.
There were just a lot of beautiful games today, and all week long there were just gorgeous game after gorgeous game for us to look at, to play in.
And you know, I think one of the things that really made this Historicon great was the new convention site at the Lancaster County Convention Center, and I know we got a couple other guys who really want to talk about that.
So Miles, new convention center here.
Wonderful.
I agree. I think the energy is very different. I think the flow puts people in contact with people better than the other places we've seen. And I certainly think it makes a difference to the gaming environment.
Yeah, I'm missing my asbestos exposure from the prior place, but it's wonderful. As a game master, moving stuff in and out was a lot easier. And so I put on a pretty large game. This was the easiest setup and takedown I've had.
Which is really amazing because we're in the middle of a center city. And yet you were able to move your stuff in and out, get it accomplished. I felt the same way. I had one game to run compared to your 5 or 20, but at the same time, it was easy. It was easy.
Yeah, the staff who ran the convention here should be really complimented. They did a great job with the new facility. You know, there's some things that probably can be done better.
Always.
But I look forward to coming back here next year and hope we do.
Yeah.
And I think also, I think we've talked to some vendors and other convention goers who also kind of echo those sentiments.
Well, I've been coming to Historicon for about 20 years now. I think this is the best venue they've had. It's the most modern. It has conveniences that the other prior placements did not have. It has a better area to go to the restaurants and dining. And instead of walking from building to building, you get to walk from floor to floor, which is certainly a lot more convenient.
Yeah, I would agree with all that, and not only that, but I've been to almost every Historicon since they started, and this is by far the best venue that I've been at. It's been a fantastic experience. Definitely come back at future Historicons, and I hope they move all the conventions here.
So what was one of your favorite games?
I thought one of the greatest games I've ever seen was the Have Gun Will Travel game, a Western themed game that was quite nostalgic because they had parts of the board game featured into the game. It's an old television series. I think they channeled Richard Boone's spirit into the game. The terrain was fabulous. There was a mine where you can go down multiple levels. I was impressed as a GM. I learned a lot of new tricks that I hope to kind of steal for my games in the future.
Yeah, I think that was brilliant. I think that use of non-linear techniques in presenting games is the future. One of the games I loved, I don't know if you saw it, was the Siege of Paris, 845 AD, which anybody who's a big fan of the Viking series might have recognized that, but they did it up. I mean, it was brilliant. The city of Paris looked great. The ships and the siege itself was brilliant. Great thing is we're going to have future interviews. We're going to have an interview with the team who put that together, which was a lot of educators, and I think they really did a great job of bringing history to life.
Very impressive.
So Greg, we've all talked about what our favorite games that we saw were. What was your favorite game?
Well, I know I'm a big historical guy, but actually I'm a bit embarrassed to admit one of my favorite games was a sci-fi game. It was a Star Wars game. It was put on by our friends at the Hawks. A massive, it was like a 16 or 20 foot long table of the Battle of Hoth. And there were tons of people gathered around that game having a great time. It was a game I kind of wished that I could play. So that was one of my favorite games of this convention. And I do think it was a great venue, as you heard from all of us here on Little Awards TV, and from a lot of the people who went to the convention.
Yeah, and since you've heard all of that, though, there's probably one other person I'd like to hear from their perspective on how the weekend went.
Hi, I'm Joe Miller, Convention Director for Historicon 2019. Just giving you a little heads up on how things went. It was a great show, I think. We had a lot of good comments, a lot of good feedback from folks. We're very happy with the establishment that we've chosen as our home for the future, and hopefully we'll be here for a number of years going forward. That's going to depend a lot on the feedback we get from you guys on how you like the facility and how things went from your standpoint, because that's why we're here, to put on a great show for you guys. So let us know what you think. Send your comments to me at director@historicon.org, and I'll read everything that you send me, and we can use that to make our decisions going forward.
Woo! It's been an exhausting 3 days.
Oh my God.
Stop laughing at me, Miles. This is serious business. I'm a star.
I'm Tom.
Do you mean script this for you, Tom?
Miles could have started.
You mean the script this
Do I
for
have
me?
to start every year?
1,
2,
I'll
3.
start.
All right.